Hi and welcome back to another recap on FindersBeepers History Seekers. I really love doing these videos, and you know what? I've had so many positive comments from you guys as well about finding out that extra information, talking about stuff that we've talked about, maybe I've got wrong, maybe that I needed more information about, and I just love it. I love going back over stuff and finding out the true meanings of things. It's so good. I also quite like annoying you and seeing the backlash, and that brings us straight to our first clip.
What's that? Marmite. Marmite is just dirt. I love Bovril, but Marmite is just like absolute dirt. Just like Vegemite's like dirt. I've literally offended a whole nation now. Every Australian out there is like wanting to kill me now because I've said something bad about Vegemite. But it's like bumhole. It's awful. Bovril, beautiful. Vegemite and Marmite, awful.
So there was definitely a few irate Australians and New Zealand people. What are you called if you're from New Zealand? Kiwis! Yeah, a lot of Kiwis that were a bit annoyed at me as well because I was going on about Vegemite and how it's disgusting. And the main thing that people kept saying was, oh, it's because you're putting it on too thick. You don't just blob it on like jam. It's got to go on really thin. And yeah, I know, because I eat Bovril and Bovril's exactly the same. I just don't like the taste. I'm sorry. You can't blame me because I'm not the only one. I don't like Vegemite and I don't like, what's the other one called? Vegemite and Marmite. Don't like them. Awful. But Bovril, which is a similar sort of thing, I love. So it's got to be the taste. It can't be how I'm serving it up or anything like that. Lettuce and Bovril sandwiches is one of my favourite things ever. Bovril on toast, I love it. Absolutely love it. My kids love it. On crumpets and things like that, so good. Vegemite, put it in the bin. Awful. Something that comes up quite regularly, and I get it, I totally get it, is saving things. Making sure things are saved and not ruined by nature or whatever, or stolen or whatever. But the problem is, if I took those things away, I'm just as bad as the people that are stealing them, because it is theft, it's burglary. I could get in a lot of trouble, but it's not just that. Those things belong there. So unless something can be agreed with relatives or whatever, those things should technically stay there, and I hate it. Like this week, some things in this location needed to be in a military museum, back with the family. And don't get me wrong, I work on these things all the time. So I do research and I try and find the family. And in the past, I have found family members and let them know about the location. It's not my responsibility to tell them not to take stuff out there because that's their family stuff. But at least I've done my job on reuniting it with the family. It's not my place to take something out of something. And I want to, just as much as the people that tell me to do it, I want to do it. I want to take those things away and care for them and love them the way they should. But I can't because it's burglary. And somebody even said I should leave some money behind. Leave some money in the property and take the thing. It's not the point. Like, it could be a raggedy piece of rag with someone's name on the side of it, and it means something to them. It's worth absolutely nothing, but it means something to them. How can you value those things? Because it's more of how they feel about them. And I know people are going to argue, well, why would they leave them there? There might be family members that don't even know that they're there, and that's why I try and do a bit of a job behind the scenes to reunite these people. So it's very difficult, very, very difficult, but I understand the passion behind it and the reason people get upset and say, why are you leaving these things? I get it.
What are they for? Are they for like pie crusts? Oh, I don't know what they would be used for, those. Let me know what you think. The thing I thought was like to put little holes when you're making your pies, but I don't know if it is that.
Now, next up, we've got the spiky little roly thing that I thought was something to do with pies. Now, we have had a couple of people that say, yeah, they are for pies, and now looking at it, I don't think they are. So most people have said that they're for working leather, so to put little holes in leather. Somebody said that they thought they were for tracing things, so you could do it on paper and you could see the line that you've done it. I don't think that's it personally. I think the leather thing is, because there was also a leather hole punch. So for me, I think you're right. I think it is a leather working tool.
I am a bit scared of these stairs, I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie at all, because that is creaking a lot. Oh God, that is not good. Look at the floorboards, the big, quite thick floorboard. Ignore my little toe sticking out my shoes. Quite thick floorboards. I went to get in, it fell off a wall. So I'm currently in a load of brambles and nettles.
This is one that comes up regularly, about me wearing protective equipment, and it comes up all the time. On every week, every video, you should be wearing work boots, you should be wearing knee pads, you should be wearing elbow pads, you should be wearing a helmet, you should be wearing protective goggles, you should be wearing a mask. Honestly, if I wore everything everybody told me to, I'd be like this. I'd be like walking around like this with all this stuff on, a big helmet. We get things like night vision goggles. I'd have night vision goggles on. I'd probably have like a couple of machine guns going at the side as well. I can't, and I don't want to. I don't want to wear jeans, because I used to wear jeans and I used to rip the jeans every week. Literally every week I would rip the jeans. I would much rather cut my leg than have to buy another pair of jeans, because it's so annoying. Next up, oh no, someone's going up the stairs. Oh, they were quite light-footed for a change. Usually it's like boom, boom, boom. Yeah, next up, the big boots. I don't want to wear big boots. They're clunky, they're horrible. I'd rather wear Nike Air Max with my little toe hanging out the corner. Don't get me wrong, if you want to get me another pair of Nike Air Max, send them through the post, but I'm happy wearing those. Yes, I could get a nail through, but yes, I've also had a nail through the bottom of boots before. So, here's what it is. I'm not going to die, and if I do, it's my own fault, innit? Anyway, yeah, so I don't think I'll be wearing any other additional stuff. Oh. Hello. Oh, wait a minute. That's better. I've not got you on speaker. You alright? Yeah, I was just midway through filming, just need to stop filming now.
He's quite dapper, isn't he? No date on that one. Oh, it's him again. Look at them. They look like they're on a boat or something. Look at the windows in the background. They're like on a liner. God, imagine if it were Titanic. Imagine that. Oh, wait up. P&O Ferries. Egypt. I wonder if that's the Mrs. Birkin. I wonder if that's the boat they were on. I wonder if it is. It's not this address before you start trying to work out where I am. So, but yeah, I wonder if that's the boat they were on. Guessing the boat is, oh yeah, SS Egypt. I wonder if it is. That'd be good if we can match it up.
Now, a couple of the postcards had a boat on them, the SS Egypt. Now, it was a P&O liner, and basically, I found out myself, but also I've had quite a few comments, that this was actually sunk in 1922. I think it was 1922. Yeah, 1922. Let me just read what somebody's put on here. So, we've got SS Egypt was a P&O ocean liner. She sank after a collision with Seine on the 20th of May 1922 in the Celtic Sea, and 252 people were rescued from the 338 passengers and crew that were aboard at the time. So pretty bad, quite a few people died. A subsequent salvage operation recovered most of the cargo of gold and silver. And if you look on eBay, not on eBay, or things that are sold previously on eBay, there's quite a few gold coins that were brought back up again, and they're obviously collector's items because they went down with a ship, which is something that doesn't very often happen. Now, I've just done a bit more research after I've finished filming everything else, so I thought I'd just quickly tell you. So, the gold that was recovered was worth, at the time, £1 million. It's now worth over £200 million. That's about, I don't know,
call it, I don't know, $250 million, something similar to that. That's madness. And it was all at the bottom of the sea and they recovered the majority of it, which is crazy. It was also used as a hospital ship during the First World War. So maybe that's the connection. I just don't know.
So I think that's really interesting. But it also makes me wonder, who was the person on the boat? Who was this guy? And did he go down with the ship? Was he okay? We don't know his name. There is no name or reference to name on there. So it could have been somebody that we've talked about on other postcards, other bits and bobs, but we don't know. So we don't know if he lost his life or not. If anyone wants to do a bit more research on that, let me know. I'll be really interested to know. I think that's a really good story.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of now, don't you? You know what? I'm going to keep this on just out of respect for Andy for the rest of... Oh, you know what? No, I'm not. There's another one. I was going to keep this one on, but my head's just far too big. Look at that. Just look at that. How big my bonce is. I look like a right scoundrel, right scallywag. Look at the state of that. I think the other one's going to have to go back on. Right, so for the rest of the Explore, this is what I'm going to be wearing. Not that you'll want to see me half the time anyway, but it's got to be done just for you, Andy. Just for you.
Now, quite a few of you made comment about me wearing the hats instead of Andy. And I know it's not really my thing to do that. It's not what I would do. But like I said right at the beginning, I will keep his memory all the way through these videos wherever I can. He's not dead. And Bear's just decided to take this moment to have a drink. Absolute nightmare of a dog. He waits. I'm sat quietly, does nothing. As soon as I start talking to you, he decides he wants to have a drink. You're a nightmare, aren't you? Absolute nightmare. Thank you to the person that sent this. Got this sent through. And it says, FindersBeepers History Seekers on this side. God, this is awkward. And it's got Bear written on the other side of it. So many good gifts we've had for Bear. Thank you so much. So yeah, like you said, quite a few of you were laughing about me having the hats on. Some of you got quite emotional. Some of you were comparing me to different people. Can't think off the top of my head. There were so many different people that you said I look like. And even one person said that they thought one of the hats was actually in the photographs as well, which I'll have a look back and see if I can find something. If there is, if I can find it, I'll stick it here. Now, I feel like this video could go on forever and ever because there were so many items in there. And I'll try and list off a couple that I can think of off the top of my head.
Oh, this is good. The carving around the outside. I wonder what that says. Pain in that bread. Is it like a bread plate? I'm totally making this up.
So we got the big plate that got the French writing on it, which was translated to "Give us this day our daily bread," an excerpt from the Bible. And I got the bit where it said bread, but I forgot the rest. So I do know bits of French, but I'm not very good. I'm not going to lie. I don't even think I got a GCSE in French. I think I just walked out and didn't do it. But there is loads of different things that you talked about. So many little ones.
Perfume brick. What is a perfume brick? I can't smell anything of it on it. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
The next little thing you mentioned was the perfume brick. I'd never heard of a perfume brick, but apparently it goes in your knickers. Not like literally, you don't shove it up your faff or something. It goes in your knicker drawer. You put a little bit of perfume on there and it makes them smell nice. So then when you get a man coming sniffing around your fadge, it doesn't smell quite so much of fish.
Oh, look, Blue Peter. God, that's got to be an old one. I don't know the names of the presenters, to be fair. I recognise that his face and her face. I don't really recognise him. But that's got to be like 70s maybe.
Now, looking at some of the comments on here around the Blue Peter book, there's quite a bit of debate over who was who. So we've got John Noakes, Peter Purvis, which I've heard of those two, and the dog is Shep. And this person, not sure who the woman is, maybe Valerie Singleton. But then you go a bit further down, you've got somebody that thinks that the one that I wasn't sure about was Dick Van Dyke, which I'm pretty sure it's not Dick Van Dyke. And finally, we've got another person that says, the Blue Peter book, the face not recognised, was a well-known American He had a show called The Galloping Gourmet, Graham Kerr. So I don't know who's right on this. It's before my time. So if it was out in the 70s, I was only born in November 79. So I don't remember any of these people really, other than what I've looked back at years later. So unsolved, I'm afraid.
What is this? What is it for a cigar? I feel like that's a cigar holder, but what's the thing inside? Yeah, that's for a cigar, isn't it? The glass case. But what are those things in there?
And the final little thing that people kept picking up on was the cigar tube with the little things that like tablets inside. And it makes sense. It looks like there were bits of flint that were in there, maybe for a cigar lighter, or some machine that goes with cigars. No idea. I'm not a smoker, never have been, so I wouldn't know. So yeah, that makes sense as well.
There's a weird noise. See if you can hear it. Can you hear that? Hear it again then. What is that?
Now, there was a few people that thought that the noise near the fridge could have been a frog, not an owl. Now, 100% it could have been, definitely. I don't know. It was just the first thought. The first thing I thought of when I thought of baby owls making weird noises. It could be the rabbit with the leg sticking out that's a cat. You never know. I've no idea, but it was a weird noise. Regardless, it was a very, very strange noise.
So I missed one of them. I missed another one. Look as well, 1914-15. Nothing written on that one. Look at this. How good is that? Wait a minute, is there more than one there? Oh, look, dear father and mother. Oh, Eugene, your loving son. That is so sad.
And finally, the one that you've all been waiting for, which is the postcards, the amazing postcards, the stories that go with those postcards. And the problem is, I've left all the information for them at home, which is like a 10-mile round trip. So I'm now going to have to go home just to come back and film. Right, so the postcards were absolutely amazing. They really, really were. And the more you looked at them and the more you found out about them, the sadder it became. Although, did it? Because the one thing that people asked quite a lot was, did he survive the war? And the answer is, yes, he did. He survived the First World War and all the way through the Second World War as well, which is lovely. It really is. It's so nice to find that out. He was born in 1882. His name is Eugene Napoleon Birkins. Now, I don't know if I've got the name right, Birkins, but that's what I'm going with. He lived in London most of his life, but he was born on the Isle of Wight. So that ties in to the postcards and photos from, is it Ryde in the Isle of Wight, the park over there, and the other postcard we saw as well. So that all ties in. Also, the address on the postcodes were just off Regent Street. I can't remember the actual name of the road, but I found a picture of roughly where it was he lived. Now, I don't know if that building has changed. That's where he lived up until he went off to war. And then he was stationed all over the place in France by the looks of things. Now, I have different reports on this one. So I've got his father was Henry and he was French. And his mother was Julia Cotton, who was the first wife. Oh, yeah, that's right. And the second wife is Amy. Now, the person on this comment has put that his mother was called Amy, but actually it looks like his mother was Julia Cotton, not Amy. He lived with his father and his stepmother, and his stepmother is obviously Amy, and that's where the confusion will have come in. It's quite easy when you're doing searches, history searches, to look at names of who's living with who, but it might not be right. And on this occasion, it was Julia that was his mother, but Amy was his stepmother who he was living with when he was 18, and that was on the Isle of Wight. And they were both tailors. They both worked as ladies' tailors, so quite a good job back then as well. Probably prim and proper ladies coming in for the dresses sorting out. Now, once again, I'm back mid-edit looking at something else I found. This makes so much sense thinking about it. If they were people that made clothes, that's why there was loads of buttons, loads of sewing kits, loads of bits of offcuts of material. It all ties in. It all makes sense now. Eugene had two brothers. Now, I'm 100% sure about one of them, which was Harry or Henry. You can call him either, but basically Henry. And it was quite sad about his brother. So his brother died in a battle in, is it Gallipoli? I want to say Gallipoli. Yeah, Gallipoli. And Eugene received a military medal as a gunner. But the postcard that was sent back to his mother and father was dated just 2 days before his brother was killed. So he was feeling all down, sending a letter back to his mum, saying that he wanted ear protectors, he was feeling down, he was feeling rubbish. And 2 days later, his brother was dead as well. So not a great time for him. It's really sad and really, we complain today about all sorts. We complain about speed cameras and things like that. They had to complain about having their sons and daughters blown up in different places, working in factories and bombs coming down, or out in the field in the trenches being shot at. It just doesn't compare. We are so lucky these days compared to them. We really are. And really, it's only a heartbeat ago. It's like just over 100 years ago, which seems like a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a few generations back. And these people were just having to put up with such loss and such terrible pain as a result of what was going off in Europe. And it's awful, it really is. So then, this brings us to, where are all these things from? Why were they all packed up in a house in Devon? And I found out, or one of my subscribers has found out, that it was actually his daughter's house. So Eugene, the one that we've been looking into the story of, how he was posted out there, he was miserable, he was unhappy. He was the one that then went on to meet up with Alice Peaceful Harris and got married in she was born in 1902. So she was 20 years younger than him. Get in there. But they went on to have a child in 1932 called Marie. Now, Marie lived in Devon in that house, in that exact house that I'd been looking round. And she died a few years ago, I think 5 or 6 years ago, and everything's been left as a result. She'd obviously got nobody to pass things on to. There's no family out there to take all this family history on, and it's such a shame, because these are just the bits I've touched on as well. If you look, there's other letters from nieces and nephews, of cousins, talking about stuff in French. If you go further back, there's more stuff about France and where they lived in France, near Calais. There's all sorts of information there. I haven't got enough time to tell you all about it, but I just needed you to know the story of them. And I think when you see a piece of paper or a card, you think of it as, oh, that's pretty, or that's nice. You don't think about the story that's tied up with it as well. Think about this. Those beautiful cards made their way over the sea, over back to their mum and dad, and he was out there feeling so sad, missing home, missing his mum. The amount of cards that were there saying, I'll miss you, mum, it's so sad. It really is sad. And then to lose his brother, and all the correspondence that goes in between as well, because there were bits that I didn't have a chance to look at in there. It's terrible. It really is terrible. It paints such a sad story. And those were then passed on to his daughter. His daughter obviously cared, loved for those things, kept them her whole life. She was born in, when was she born? 1932. So she was born in 1932, so she will have been in her, 70s, 80s. And she's kept those all those years, put nice and neatly underneath some stuff. And this is why I then went and hid them again. I've taken some photographs so you can see some of the postcards and things, but I've then hidden them, put them nice and neat out of the way. It's such a shame. It really is such a shame that now they're just going to sit there and either rot away, or hopefully I can get in touch with somebody and we can get them saved. I'll try. I can't promise anything. It is quite hard. If anyone that does sort of genealogy and ancestry, that sort of thing, you can find out people that have died. It's very, very hard to find out the ancestors that are still alive because it doesn't give you those details, personal details. So I'll try, I'll do what I can, but what a sad story. But what an amazing one, and what an amazing place it was. One last thing that I forgot to mention from this comment, which I thought was really, really good, was that Eugene was in the Royal Horse Artillery and the Royal Field Artillery, and he had a rank of gunner. So that's good as well. Like, I don't really know what... I'm guessing a gunner uses one of the big guns. And if you remember the little slip that was in one of the bags that we brought out, that was apparently a pass to bring over some big gun over to France as well. So it's all ties in and it's so good. It's so interesting. I could look into these things for hours, but the problem is then I'm going to another abandoned building next week and another one next week. And if I start retaining all this information, my head's just going to go boom. But anyway, really good. Such a good bit of information and history. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been looking forward to doing this one for you, to show you all the extra information that we found out. Sometimes these places are an absolute gold mine, and this one was. I could have talked all day about 25 other items in that place, but there was just so much good stuff. I needed to just focus on the best. Anyway, hope you have a brilliant rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.